All right, hello, welcome back to another edition of the iTutor Math Show. I am your host, Rebel Math Coach Bobby Ozuna. Today is Thursday, April 25th. This is my 13th live stream, and we are officially
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
All right, hello, welcome back. We got sound. We up? We got sound? Awesome. Yay, we got sound today. Today's Thursday, April 25th. This is my 13th live stream. Welcome to another edition of the iTutor Math Show. I'm your host again, Bobby Ozuna. I'm pretty excited. This is a simple topic tonight. This is continuation of a small little four-part series entitled, I don't have fancy titles, so if you've been watching all of my streams, I have zero fancy titles. Don't care for fancy titles because it's really, really simple, like my shirt says. And I want to start by giving a big thank you to Amber and Piper. Thank you for the birthday gift. I love it. Math is easy. It's pretty simple, pretty funny. It says find, wait a minute, I can't do this. Find X, and then it says it's right there. Boom. I love the shirt, love the gift. Thank you so much. I want to start by also saying I'm pretty excited. I gave props to my boy already a couple weeks ago, but boom, there it is. Let me hold this right. Class of 2019. I've got my first official. It's got a seal on it. Oh, right there. I got my first official invitation for graduation. For my buddy, for my boy, for my student, for a young man. There you go. Matthew just made you famous. Matthew San Martin, graduating this year, and I was off on my numbers, Matthew. I said that we've been tutoring for about 5 years. That was wrong. I tutored you 7th grade, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So 6 years of your life, I have been privileged to be your, I wouldn't say your teacher so much as I've just been a coach, someone who got a chance to participate in your life because, at the end of the day, most people don't know this. I really don't even teach mathematics. You can take those secrets with you. Again, my hope for you is when you go off to UNT, congratulations. Going to be what are the Eagles? Going to be an Eagle at UNT. Really excited for you, Matthew, and really excited for your family. Again, it's been a privilege to be part of your life for 6 years, and I really haven't done anything. I didn't really teach you anything that you didn't already know. I just kind of played a little bit of Mr. Miyagi to help you get there. So really excited for you. I hope you take what I taught you. And don't forget, you have a gift. You have a gift. You give it to other people. Find some students that are struggling. You get out there and help them. Awesome. Yay. So back to the show. Tonight is a continuation of a four-part series. Little series, not very small. Not very big, not very complex. This is word problems part 3. We're going to talk about multiplication. No, we're not doing math because half of math isn't even doing math. This is just covering keywords that help you, help your child, or if you're an adult, help yourself master word problems at the most simple level, which is understanding those keywords. Understanding the keywords. I used to say this all the time, all the years that I've been teaching. Half of math is just a foreign language. I told all my students all the years that I've been teaching that algebra is nothing more than a foreign language. If you know the language of mathematics, at the end of the day, it's still add, subtract, multiply, and divide. That's it. There's no real fifth element to mathematics. I don't care what anyone says. If you know how to add, then you know how to subtract. If you can add a lot, or you can add the same number multiple times, you're multiplying. If you can multiply, opposite of that is division. All the other things that people struggle with are nothing more than some formulation or approach to doing those four fundamental elements. Word problems, again, I've seen it for many years. I experienced it myself with my children all these years that I've been teaching. Kids go from being really good at add, subtract, multiply, or adding and subtracting, counting with their toes and their fingers. They're really beasts. They get high scores. It's really simple. They get a worksheet or some kind of quiz, and they just put the answer down. Then they get into 3rd or 4th grade where it might challenge them with some thought, with some words, word problems, putting things together, and they just get lost, right? You get a little lost in the language of what you're reading, and you forget the simplicity of it is you're just looking for numbers, and you're looking for keywords that kind of indicate and hint what type of math should I be doing, and then from there it's just doing the math. And you've got to use some deductive reasoning to understand that in the language of the word problem, if they're hinting to or leading to something that tells you a number should get smaller, if I had 10 bicycles and Matthew came and stole 8 of them, then naturally, the key word is I should have less bicycles than before. And then you basically looking for numbers. So it only takes two numbers to make a word problem, right? I mean, it only takes two numbers to make a math problem. So you start digging, decipher, look for those numbers, and then look for those keywords that kind of tell you, okay, this is probably, if the numbers are getting should get smaller, it's probably division or subtraction. If the numbers should increase, it's addition or multiplication. So let's go ahead and look, let's go over to, let me go over to my topics tonight. Back to my topics. Boom. So let's go ahead and look at the topics again tonight. Again, this is word problems part 3, multiplication. I've already done 2 small little shows that talk about the keywords for addition and subtraction. And I just want to tell you again, because I don't want to sound like I'm fancy. I didn't create these keywords. These are kind of just common keywords. It's a collection of 1,000 lists from, I don't know, kindergarten stuff all the way to college. I mean, there's more words in the world that say, hey, this is leading to or alluding to multiplication or any of them. All I'm doing is compiling the list for you to make it really easy, because that's my goal. My goal and objective is to partner with you as a parent and say, hey, let's build an environment of learning at home, and let's break math down to a more basic, simple level so that you can start facilitating and coaching, not teaching so much. You're coaching, you're directing your children, you're helping them discover, you're helping them learn by themselves and think for themselves, right? That's what we want. We want our children to be free thinkers. So again, you're just really coaching them. I consider myself probably more of a math coach than anything else. And then this is just a general list. And again, you can find this list anywhere. You can pretty much find this list anywhere on the internet. I'm just bringing it to you, make it really simple. Again, we are here to learn how to master fundamentals at home so that you could take ownership of your child's education. That's very, very important. You take the ownership of your child's education, because no one's going to love them, no one's going to care for them, no one's going to worry about them, and no one's going to want to wring their neck more, I'll tell you that right now, than the parent. So multiplication, this is part 3. Next week I'll do division. Pretty simple? Awesome. Then here's your list. Here's some multiplication keywords. Are there more? Absolutely. If you want an updated list, send me some words. If you want a better, more fancy list, get out there on the internet and Google. That's the best part about mathematics. Pretty much everything you need to learn, everything you need to know to help your children become beasts in mathematics and really excel mathematically is on the internet. I mean, honestly, you don't really even need to go to a classroom. The classroom is just part of what we do in America, and it's a requirement, right? You go to public school, you pay taxes, you send your kids to school, unless you drop them out. They got to sit in a classroom. Well, you want your children to do as best that they can, and you can't put that all on the teacher. That's really, really important. It's really, really important to understand. It's not the teacher's responsibility to teach everything. That's impossible. I worked with 20, 25 students at a time when I was working at both Trimble Tech High School in Fort Worth and in Pasco High School. And it's impossible. I'm not going to lie and brag and say that, I was able to teach all of them at the same time. And a lot of my students follow the show, and a lot of my students are still my friends from my days of working with the high school students in Fort Worth ISD, and a lot of my students from when I worked at Tarrant County College as a GED instructor. You can ask, you can post, you can ask yourself. I mean, it's impossible to say, I could have taught everyone. Even though I'm giving the same information and the same passion to every student in the classroom collectively, not everyone learns the same. And I am going to do a show on that, just so you know. It's called What the Vark is Wrong with You. What the Vark, V-A-R-K, is wrong with you. One of the shows coming up in the next 3 to 6 weeks. I'm going to do a show that kind of helps the parents understand, how do I learn my child's learning style, so that knowing my child's learning style, I can help them be a better student. So again, the whole point of this show, the iTutor Math Show, the whole point of it is for me to give you as much information based on my experience, my successes, and like Yoda says, my failures, to help you take back that ownership of education for your child so that you can help them be successful. And then, of course, we got to think again, what is success? Is it 100s? No. Is it 70s? No. You're going to have to determine what is the measurement of success for your family. For me and my students that I work with, and my children, it's giving your best and never quitting, because quitting is failing. Getting a 30 on a test isn't failing. It just means I got a 30 on a test, because there's more than one test that's going to determine my grade. And I've got 13 years of public school from kindergarten to 12th grade to become a master student, because the big goal for me, if your dreams are college, is to master the algebra, the college math level which is the culmination of everything that we've ever learned up to about Algebra 2, which is high school math, which is pretty much college math. So you want to do that, and again, using things like this, like when I'm giving you this keyword chart, which is nothing more than keywords that should indicate or trigger that, hey, this is probably a multiplication problem. And if you go back and look at the other shows or just Google it yourself, you'll find keywords for addition and subtraction. And then next we talk about, okay, well, how do I do that? Again, let's talk flashcards, written and oral tests, and then finding multiplication word problems online, and then role playing where you are the student. And again, I'll talk to the flashcards. So the flashcards is simple. I've said this and I'll say it every week. Go out and get you a cheap 99-cent pack of index cards. If you're actually following the show and you're following the practice that I'm trying to give you, at this point, you'd have a list, you'd have a stack of addition keywords, subtraction keywords, multiplication keywords, and then after next week, you'd have a list with division keywords. So you'd pretty much have a list of all the keywords that indicate a type of math. And then you can play a flashcard game with your child. It's really simple. Then you just write those keywords down. You pull out one. If it says sum, then you want your child to think, oh, or yourself. If you're an adult student going back to school, you're at the remedial level in college, you're about to go back to school, or if you're an adult trying to get their GED, of which I'm going to do probably a 1 to 2 part show specifically on the GED, because I want to be your encouragement, because listen to me, if you've been waiting to get it, it's time to get it. Anyways, that's just my little upcoming show. I don't even know what you call that my blurb. But anyways, you take the index cards, you work on that, you throw out a card. If it says sum, then your child or you want to think, oh, that's addition. If it says product, you want them to think, oh, that's multiplication. And the whole point of it is to make it a little engaging, make it a little fun. It's boring sitting around studying and memorizing things, but make it engaging, make it fun, practice yourself. And then again, written and oral test. Written tests are good because you require them to sit down like the classroom environment and write down an answer. So you can call out product, and then they say product equals multiplication. You could say quotient, and they say, okay, quotient equals division. You make them write it out like that, right? That's a boring way to practice, but it's a great practice. Contrary to what anyone says, you write something down, you say something over and over again, you learn it. But that's not the only way, right? So then you do oral tests. Oral tests, to me, are the real culmination of building that comprehension for a child, because by not allowing them to type or write something out, you're forcing them to go back into their mind, like I say every week, to remember what they saw or what they read, and that really builds that long-term memory. And it also really teaches them to rely on their own ability, because it's real easy. This is how you spot a child in a classroom or at home that really doesn't know the answer. You throw something out, and their first reaction is kind of look around, because they might have conditioned themselves already that if they don't know, leverage the person next to them. Now, in school, they call that cheating. At the adult world, when you work a job, they call it collaborating. Pretty ironic, right? So if you're a collaborator in the workplace, you're a great employee, you're a good partner, a good teammate, you collaborate, you get answers, awesome. But if you collaborate in school, it's cheating. Then you go to collaboration jail or whatever they do with you, right, for cheating, and then you're labeled as a bad person, whatever. But when you see that your child's kind of looking for the answer, by doing oral tests and oral quizzes with them, which you can do in the car, right? You can talk about this stuff in the car. Turn off the radio. Turn off the phone. If they're really, really struggling, spend that commute home and say, hey, let's go over some keywords. Because here's the thing. You're going to learn them too when you're working with your child, right? And that's what you want. Because most of the parents who struggle to help their children struggle because they have this fear that they're not good enough, they don't know enough, and because they weren't strong enough, they're not able to help their child. Well, just blow that out the water. Remember, building an environment of learning at home. You growing stronger, helping your child, being more engaged. They know it's important because you're tuning everything out to focus on them. And then you're learning and your skills are growing. And guess what? That's going to overflow to other people. And that's the whole point, right? The whole point of why I do the show and why I've been teaching all these years, because the last little one that I have in my home right now is Damien. He doesn't need my math help at this point. He hasn't needed my math help for quite a few years. Maybe a little bit of me ran over to him, but he hasn't needed my math help. But so it's, I don't really have to practice so much with my own child. He might ask me one question every month, but for your child that you know, you love them, you want them to be successful, especially in those early years, The more of this stuff that you learn because you're practicing with them, the better you're going to be able to help them. And then that whole problem to begin with, that, I don't know how to help my child, you do. I've given you something really, really simple. Flashcards, written tests, oral tests. You're strengthening them. And then again, I said role play. I say this all the time. Put your child in a place where they play the instructor, they play the coach, they play the teacher, and then you play the student so that you could struggle with it a little bit, right? You have a little bit of hard time, and let them coach you, because you're also building a bigger skill. You're building a skill of them having to learn how to facilitate, be a little bit compassionate, and know what it feels like to try really hard to give something to someone and the message not being received. And then that's a whole other life lesson in itself on communication, helping them be more effective communicators. And all of that stuff can happen in 20 minutes a night at home with the greatest teacher, coach, tutor they're ever going to have. That's you. Because no one's going to love them more than you. That's my 2 cents on that. Again, the last thing you could do after you feel like your child's been really mastering this stuff, they're getting better, you're tired of the flashcards, you're tired of the written tests, the oral tests, etc. Get out there and find some multiplication word problems online. Let them practice. Mix them up. You want to be really cool parent? You want to be like parent of the year? Write some multiplication word problems yourself. Write about 4 or 5 of them. Throw those key words in there. Give it to them and tell them, hey, find the key words. Find the numbers. Should the number get bigger or smaller? And then let them help them walk them through. Remember, show, don't tell. You walk them through discovery. They do a few problems. Next thing you know, 20 minutes has gone by and you're done. That's all it takes. 20 minutes a night, 4 nights a week, and you got it. I'll show you that data again for those people who want data. 180 school days in a school year. That's 36 weeks of school with 6 6-week reporting periods. So if you spend 20 minutes a night, 4 nights a week, that's 80 extra minutes a week that your child is getting, times 36 weeks, that's 2,880 extra minutes of practice that your child is getting just in a school year. That's a total of 48 extra hours in a school year. If you did nothing over the summer and you did this every night, 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday only, don't cram them on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Don't do that to your kids. You don't like it. Don't make them like it. Teach them about working hard, putting a little extra, get that habit. Because guess what? You want them to celebrate Friday, Saturday, Sunday just like we do. Thank God it's Friday. Isn't just for us as adults. It's for kids who've been grinding away, hoping not to get a bad grade because they got to bring it home to you and upset you, right? So you're building those habits. You're building the practice. You're doing it together as a family. You're separating that emotion. You're not here to get mad at them or kill them. I know you want to, but don't. It's not about the grade. It's about taking your time, spending that time with your child to help them get to a place that they get stronger in the skills that they struggle in. And these are the skills that I'm telling you, and I'll say it again, they need them next year. So don't say, yay, little Johnny or little Damien or little Tommy or Becky or whatever. Pass the test. They got a 72, they got a 73, they got a 75, they got an 80. They passed, so now we just let it go out of our mind. No. Because they didn't master it, they're going to need it again next year. Everything they do in elementary school, they're going to need it for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Everything in 6th grade, they're going to do it again in 7th. Everything in 7th grade, they're going to do it again in 8th. It's the same class 3 times. It's the same class 3 years in a row. And then 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they're going to do all that again in 9th grade because they call it algebra. It's the culmination of everything they learned from kindergarten through 8th grade. And then they're going to roll into geometry that builds from algebra, that requires now math with pictures. And then algebra 2, they're going to get into a little higher level thinking algebra. And then when they get there, if they can master that because they've had 10, 11 years to prepare with you, giving them that extra 48 hours a year. Matthew, what is that? What's 48 hours times, we'll just pretend 10 years. Just kidding. 480. Come on, Matthew. He was reaching for a calculator. Anyways, think about that. 480, right? Hours, extra hours that you've given your child by the time they get to around 11th grade, 12th grade, preparing. And again, if your child gets to Algebra 2 and they master Algebra 2, sign them up for college math. Sign them up for college math. Anyway, I'm just preaching the same thing over and over again. So one more last review of the topics. Again, the whole point is to master the fundamentals at home. There's your keywords for multiplication. You can go back and write them down, or you could just go back and Google them yourself. Add to that list, build on that list, work with your child, take your time, baby steps. Remember, they shouldn't have to master something at home as quickly as they should have to master it at school. School has a set calendar. You have freedom at home and the safety at home to take as long as they need to master that thing. I'm a firm believer that if we did that, I'm a really firm believer that if our parents said, if us as parents, we collectively as parents in America said to ourselves, I'm going to find the one thing that's been destroying my child, emotionally, psychologically, they want to throw themselves out a window, they're just so depressed, they're beat down, they feel like they can't. I'm willing to bet anything in this world that if every family and of the 51 million children in public school said this year alone, just how about the rest of the school year? We got how many days? We got about 20 school days left. I bet you if you said to yourself, for the next 20 school days, we are going to practice just the thing that's been haunting my child. If everyone did that and nothing more, we'd have different students rolling into the next school year. If you just focus on one thing without a time limit, no time limit. Don't put a time limit on your child. You give them all the time it takes. If your neighbor's kid masters something in 2 days and it takes your child 700 days, so what? 700 days? Whoop-de-doo. They still got plenty of years left of school, right? So give them that freedom. Again, I've given you the list. Go back and watch the other 2 episodes for addition and subtraction if you want to hear me rant and rave and hear me talk. If you don't want to hear me talk, just get out there on the internet yourself and you can go find those things. Awesome. Let me see if anybody's got any kudos. We have lots of people watching tonight. So big thank you for everyone. Monica, Josh, Lourdes. Oh, that's my family right there. Anthony. Remember me from Morningside. What's up? Oh, man. Anthony Torres. What's up, brother? How are you? Haven't seen you in 5 years. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're really doing well in your life. And you know what, Anthony? You knew me. I was part of your life for a small period. If you ever need anything, you reach out to me, okay? All I am is a message away. Conrad, Jesse, Yolanda, Cindy, Joe, Cynthia, Tony Rosenbaum, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Sandra, of course. Tony Rosenbaum, everyone, was my senior drill instructor in boot camp. So when he asked me to do something, guess what? I do it with intensity and I do it quick. Sandra, of course, you're always a big support. Lindsay, Alex, Luis, and everyone else who watched, really appreciate the support. I'm going to ask you again, if you believe in the cause, if you believe in what the message that we're trying to send, what we're trying to do to help families build that environment of learning at home, share the video when it posts. I posted videos on Facebook. If you want, just go back to YouTube. Go find me on YouTube and search iTutor Math Show. Subscribe to the show. Then every time I post content, you'll get that reminder. Don't forget to click the little notification bell. And then all I'm asking you to do is share it. It takes you 2 minutes of your life to share the content so that we can reach a bigger audience, so that we can help more families master the math problem at home. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, input, or you just want to tell me how much you love watching the show on a Thursday night, hit me up on Facebook Messenger. If you know my number, text me. I really appreciate it, and we will catch you next week.